Alright guys, Mastermind Tech here with another video. So in today's video what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be modding this here. This is a Game Boy Advance SP. I have been wanting to mod pretty much every console that I have at least once. So Game Boy Advance SP is actually going to be now on the next on the list. So Game Boy Advance SP came with a frontlit screen, which means that the lights are going to be from the front of the screen shining onto the back of the screen, reflecting off of it. It actually was a pretty nice technology at the time, and then later down the road they came out with ones that were backlit, where the light came from the back shining out, which is what the AGS 101s are. Sadly, AGS 101s are kind of hard to find. This here is an AGS 001, so one of the first models of Game Boy. So it only has the backlight, and that's it, and it only has one level of brightness, so on or off, that's it. So I actually wanted to do a new mod for this to make it so that it actually is backlit and comparable to my Game Boy Advance or my DMG that I've already done. So I'm actually going to be switching it out today for one of these. This is going to be clear green shell for this. So it's going to be matching Pokemon, which I can't wait to do. I also have the IPS screen here, which is going to be it here in the package. And then I'm also going to be changing out it for a new battery as well, because the one that's in there is quite old. And then I've actually got these black buttons, which I'm going to be changing out for too, because the ones that it comes with are gray, and I like black better for this mod. The kit also does come with these, which I'm actually not going to be using. Still going to be using my trusty iFixit toolkit. So if you guys want to stick around for the rest of the video, and I'll show you guys how I did this mod. Alright guys, so what I'm first going to do is I'm actually going to be getting out my toolkit, and I'm going ahead, and the screws on these are tri-wing, so I'm going to be taking out these 4 screws, this one down here, and then there's going to be one underneath this battery bay as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove those. This one, the one on top of the battery, actually uses a Phillips. So I'm actually going to use a Phillips screw to take that out. The battery is actually part of the back of this door. So I should just be able to do that, door comes off. And then here is the original battery that it came with. Then there's going to be one more tri-wing screw right here. And then the back should just come right off, just like that. So I did actually just pull out the little pin that goes to the trigger button, so I'll just stick that back in there. Put this to the side, I do not need that. And then this is going to be the motherboard here. There are a couple of screws that hold this down, so I am going to need to remove them. Make sure I am back on the Phillips. And they are going to be 3 of them here. 1, 2, and 3. So let's go ahead and remove those. Okay, and then the board should come out. Do be aware, some of the buttons are falling out, that there is a cable actually attached in the back of this. So we want to make sure we don't damage this. It is one of those pull levers, so we're going to push back on this, just the little lever, and then we should be able to slide it right out, just like that. So now this is the board that we need. So I'm going to actually be putting the buttons and the little membranes to the side that are on it. Go ahead and peel all those off. And that is going to be the Game Boy SP screen. I'm not screen, the motherboard. So I also am going to need to take out this speaker. So I should just be able to pry that out. I'm going to use a flathead just to pry the back of this out, just like that. So that is a speaker. We will need that as well. It also comes with this little mesh that's down here for the speaker, which we can take out as well. All the buttons are going to keep falling out, so I am going to set those to the side. Take out this little membrane. That'll have the other button attached to it as well. So the only other thing that I need from this shell is going to be the hinges, which are going to be right here, both of them. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take out this little hidden screw that's underneath this ribbon cable. Take that out. And then that should allow me to take off this little cover that's over the hinges. And now I just need to poke something into this hinge to get it out. So whenever you do this, you want to make sure you are aware that this will pop out. It will go flying sometimes across the room. I'm going to use a screwdriver to see if I can pop it out without hurting myself. So let me go ahead and I'm going to take this screwdriver that came with the kit, and I am going to push it into the hinge. Let's see if I can pop this out. Okay, so I got it halfway out, so I should just be able to open this up and then push it the rest of the way out. Got it. Got one of the hinges out. So now I need to do exactly the same thing for the other side, which means I'm going to have to take this out. Oh, shit. I think I might have damaged that ribbon cable right there trying to remove that. So that is probably not the best idea to do. Luckily, I don't need this screen anymore, but it still could have came in handy if I had another one that needed a new screen. But you can see I actually kind of ripped that ribbon cable. I guess I should have probably taken the top off, which I didn't. Some of the videos I saw, you didn't need to do that, but I guess I pulled too hard. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke this hinge out. Okay, so I have to rotate it. Go ahead and grab my tweezers. Go ahead and I'm going to rotate it, and then I should be able to just pull it out. So I am sad I potentially have ruined this. So what I'm actually going to do is I actually want to see if it's still okay. So I'm going to actually plug it back in and see if it still turns on. Oh, okay. So I didn't ruin the screen. It looks like it still works. So that's good. But in the future, probably don't recommend pulling it out like that. So it does still work, but the ribbon cable is very damaged, but it looks like at least the screen still works. So I didn't really ruin that. So that is good for me. But as you can see here with the damage that I did to this ribbon cable, I don't know how well this screen would still work, but it still turns on, so I'm still happy with that. But I only ever use this if I needed a new shell or a new screen for a broken Game Boy or something. So I ain't gonna use it for this mod, so it's okay. Alright, so now I have the board out, the speaker, and the two hinges that I need. I'm now going to be opening up the shell that I got off the internet. So I'm going to go ahead and open this. Looks like it comes with the new AGS 101 sticker, which is interesting. It's going to have all the new rubber bits for the top part up here. So we'll set that to the side. And this is going to be the bottom half. So we'll go ahead and we'll remove this. This looks like it also has rubbery parts for the top two that are dark green. It's interesting. It's going to have the cover, the little Nintendo logo, and the little covers for the hinges. It also has these buttons pre-installed, which I'm going to be replacing. And I'm going to take this out here because this is covering up all of the membranes. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open up my black buttons that I have, which I did order off Amazon. So I thought the black aesthetic would look nicer with this. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Take all of these out. And this is going to be all of the black buttons. Do you know that almost all of these sets do not come with a new volume rocker? I have no idea why, but most of them do not. So I'm going to be replacing all of the buttons that are in here with these new ones. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the triggers. Go ahead and take the little rod out and the little spring. going to be replacing it into this one. So the rod and spring, the spring actually is loaded behind these little tabs that are up here on the back of the thing. So I'm going to try to reline that back up by pulling the spring down and then just lining the rod back up with the bottom part. Just like that. So the trigger now works. I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Take that out. Here, let's put the rod back in. Same thing as the other side. Load the little spring. And pull the spring in just like that. And the rod should go back down into the hole, and I should be able to have use of the trigger. That rod is down in there now. So it is springing. So both of those are now replaced. Then I'm going to go ahead and remove all the new rubbers along with the buttons, and I'm going to be replacing them as well. So let me go ahead and stick all the new ones over here. Oh, these actually glow in the dark. That is actually really interesting. It's going to be hard to see on camera, but they actually do glow in the dark. That's interesting. I don't think I'm going to use those. I'm going to stick with the original ones that came with the Game Boy. So let me go ahead and replace all these buttons. Actually has a little extra piece on it from the mold. Go ahead. These are all keyed. So A should go over here. B should go here. This looks like one of these buttons down here. This is going to be the button up there. So another one of the buttons down here. Go ahead and put these membranes on. That one there. These ones go down here. This one will go here. Whoops. Take the old one off. All right, now I have replaced basically all of the buttons on the bottom here. So all of them are now going to be with the original membranes with the new buttons that are black. So just like that. Go ahead and set that to the side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be taking the IPS screen out, which is going to be inside this package. So go ahead and open that and take this out. Go ahead and open this up. And we'll see what we got inside here. It's stuck inside this package. Let's go ahead and remove that. So it does look like we have, I actually don't know what that is. It looks like it's just a piece of paper. This is going to be the actual module to run the screen. It's going to be the little foam bit for the back. This is going to be to solder down for the brightness for the mod. And then this is going to be the screen here. So it's another one of them back screen things. So this here has adhesive on the back that I keep touching because I guess the screen is automatically adhered to this glass piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to peel off this glass piece here. And I am going to stick it to the new front housing that I have right here. So we're going to stick this screen into here. This screen module that I have has already been pre-cut for this new screen. So I don't have to cut anything away. And that would be it lined up just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting the board onto the back of this, which is going to go down just like this. Surprise, is this a piece of adhesive? I think this might be the adhesive. Now this is the adhesive for the back of this board to go back to the back of the monitor. So I'm going to put the adhesive on the back. I'm going to stick this down on the back of this monitor. Not the monitor, the screen. I keep saying monitor. Push it down just like that, and then I'm going to flip this up to secure it to the back of it just like that. So now that the screen is all assembled like this will have to be wrapped around like the original one while I put the other part, this back part on. So it did want me to attach the insulating film to the metal part in the back of the screen, and then you put this piece of foam over it. So just like that. So I guess I am going to adhere this to the back, even though I just put this board down, which means that I'm going to have to actually see if I can take that off. The adhesive's not very strong. Attach this to the back. Okay, then I'm going to re-adhesive this board down. So now that insulating pad is back on, along with this little board, I can actually put this on the back as well. And then I'm going to be taking this back screen part, I'm going to be placing it on top of this. And then I'm going to have to take this screen cable and I'm going to have to rotate it over, just like on the original. So it should be just like that, where I rotated it around. And I should be able to put all of this together. Okay, and then that is going to be it together. So what I want to do right now is, while I have this together, I'm going to put this out of the way, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with that other screen that I thought I broke. I'm actually going to test it on here first to make sure that I know everything is working before I try to put the rest of this together. So go ahead and place this in here. Go ahead and push down the connector. Go ahead and rotate this back over. Plug the battery back in. And it works. Okay, now I can finish the assembly. So I want to make sure that this works. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the screen from this. Okay, put the board back to the side, which will go over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this part here and I'm going to try to put it through the back panel. So I'm going to go ahead and re-rotate this. See if I can take that back apart. So go ahead and rotate that. Push it through just like that. So what I should do is now going to screw in these screws for this back part. So let me go ahead and leave this down here. Go ahead and open this, move the buttons out of the way. These screws do not want to come out of this little bit. Now that I have all the screws here, I'm going to be taking the smaller of the screws, and that's going to be what's screwing into the back of this screen. So I'm going to take all of these smaller ones. Okay. Now with all the screws on that screen, time to assemble the bottom. So I am going to be taking this. I'm actually going to put my board up against the back here in order to hold all the buttons that I just placed in there. It's like that. And then what I got to do is I'm actually going to be taking this screen and I got to put it through this hole right here. So I'm actually going to just take this back off, even though I wanted to put it on there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this. And I have to feed this cable through this hole. So just like that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring it all the way to the back, like so. So this screen is now in here. Right, and now since I did that, let me go ahead and put in the hinges, which are this here. So these little hinges have little caps on them that you can just slide right off. So I just slid that one right off. I'm going to slide on these little green ones that came with the kit. You can only slide off one way. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick the hinges in. So you should just be able to stick them inside of the hole. They only go in one way. So go like that. Then I'm going to put it on the other side as well. So over here. If they don't go in, you're going to need to rotate them. And you should feel them go in. So this one should be able to go in at that angle like that. So both of them are now sticking out. Just like that. So you can still see both of them are kind of sticking out the side. So now what you need to do is you need to open the hinge. And they should be able to go right in, just like that. So now they are both hinged in there. You can hear them. That's it. So now the hinges are in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the board and I'm going to be putting the screen into it, which will be like this. So take this screen. There, now the screen is fully in there. Okay, screen's in there. All the buttons look like they are in place. Oh, I do actually need to put in the speaker. So I'm actually going to take that little filter. I'm going to put this back in here. Put the speaker back in here as well. Go ahead and put the board back. Just like that. And then, oh, you know what I actually forgot to do? I forgot to put this on. This thing right here. So let me go ahead and put this on, and I'm going to use the original screw that came with it. So I actually need to lift this back up. I'm going to take this screen back off again. This here. Go ahead and take this piece. We're going to put it towards the inside, so just like this. Then we got to put in that little screw back underneath here. So go ahead and go back to this Phillips. Screw will be right there. Go ahead and screw this in. I want to make sure you don't forget that one, like I did. So make sure we put that back in. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this. Oh, actually, you know what? I actually have to solder to the point on this in order to make it so that I can change the brightness on this. So let me go ahead. I'm going to turn on my soldering iron and get ready to solder this wire into the board. I did forget that one as well, so let me go ahead and start that. All right. So since I did forget about this part too, there is a little solder pad that is going to be on this ribbon cable here, which I am going to be soldering this cable to. So let me go ahead and get my soldering iron. And my solder. I'm going to tin a little bit on the end. And I'm going to put a little bit down on this pad here. Put a little bit too much on the end of this. Go ahead and wipe that off. Okay. So with the end tinned, I am going to tin the end of this a little bit. With a little bit of solder. Wow, there's a lot of solder that came off of that. Go ahead and take this solder off. Make sure some of it stays on the pad. So I am going to go ahead and solder this down to that pad. So just like that. And then I'm going to be soldering the other end to this point on the board right here that's called Q12B. So let me go ahead and get a little bit more solder. So what I am going to do is I'm actually going to put a little bit of flux on this board. Something to poke inside of this. A little bit of flux on what I need. And now I'm going to go ahead and try to solder this. Solder it to this. Go ahead and tin that pad. Okay. Now with that little bit of flux, I was able to tin the pad. So let me go ahead and take some of that flux off. Now I'm going to solder this to that point. Okay, now that I have that soldered down, go ahead and turn off my solder iron. All right, so that is going to be this cable soldered down to K12B. It's also going to be soldered to the point on this now. So now I can go ahead and re-put this back together. I have to reroute this cable so it's not in the way of anything. Go ahead and plug this back in. All right, so now that I have the wire soldered here and there, I'm going to be able to close this up. So I'm going to route the cable around this way so that I can make sure that it will be out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this down. All right. Looks like everything is good there. So let me go ahead and screw back in this motherboard. Alright. So once that I have the motherboard screwed in, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the back on. So make sure the power button's in there. Make sure it's in the off position, so is this one. So let me go ahead and stick the back on. Make sure everything is good. Make sure I can feel both the buttons. Volume rocker was on. Go ahead and screw this all back in. So I'm going to be using my tri-wing. Okay. Now that I have all those in there, I'm going to go ahead and take this new battery. And I'm going to be placing it inside of here. I'm going to take the back and I'm going to put this on. Go ahead and switch to a Phillips. And I'm going to screw this in here. All right, now that I have that screwed in, it is time for the moment of truth. Let's go ahead and test to see how this worked. Go ahead and turn up the volume. Do want to make sure that there is sound. There is, so the sound is working. Let's go ahead and see if the brightness does change. So it does. Looks like this aftermarket button is not the easiest thing to press, but it does look like it still does work. So the brightness level does work. Feels all the buttons. I'm going to need to double check all that. Some of these buttons are not cut the greatest for this shell. So I might end up having to test all of these. Yeah, it just takes time, I guess, for them to start working. Because, like, I can feel this one's working now. It just takes time for them to work. So, that is it basically complete. Now I got to put in the little rubber things for this screen up here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Did come with 2 different sets. This one had like 3 small ones in it. Looked like they were like dark green. And these ones, I believe, are just going to be like glow in the dark. Because they look like that. Yeah, these actually glow in the dark, these ones here. So it did come with these glow in the dark membranes, which I didn't actually use. But I think I might actually use these glow in the dark rubber because I actually like them better than the dark green of these rubber ones. So let me go ahead and take all of these out. I'm going to go ahead and stick them into their appropriate holes. Which is cool. In real life, you can actually see these like glow in the dark just by putting them in here. I got those in. Put this one in. Put these ones in as well. All right. So next thing to do. So once I got all of them in, looks like that is done. But the main reason I wanted to go with clear green is because it matched my Pokemon Emerald. Or at least as close to it as I'm ever going to get. So this is more of a dark green. It's a little bit darker than this one here. But I do think it matches very well. So it's like a Pokemon Emerald. I'm debating if I want to put the sticker here. I don't think I'm going to so that you could see the game. It did come with this replacement AGS 101 sticker. This here, so I can put it here, but I do think that that kind of covers up the bottom. So I don't think I'm actually going to stick that on there. I will stick this Nintendo logo still on the top here, which I should actually do right now. Alright, now that is going to be the Nintendo logo right there. Alright, so let's test this thing out. So it does read the game. Let's go ahead and make the brightness a little bit brighter. Okay, so it does look like the A and B buttons are not pushing down enough to actually make a click. So maybe they were cut wrong. Does actually, that one did. If you push down hard. So that means I might need to move the membrane in the bottom. So let me go ahead and fix that. We'll try this one more time. Alright, so now I'm back to trying to fix this issue. So what it looks like the problem with these buttons is if you actually tighten the case down too tight, so I actually loosened these 4 screws here, the buttons stopped working. So after I loosened them, they started working again. So all the buttons are now working. So I guess there's a little bit of difference in tolerance with some of these buttons, or these aftermarket black buttons that I got off the internet. But yeah, so let me go ahead and turn this back on, turn the volume up. This looks like my internal battery ran dry. I need to replace the batteries in these Game Boy Advance ones as well. Alright, so now that I'm in the game, I'm going to try out some of these buttons. For the Swampert, oh yeah. So it does look as if all of the buttons are now working. So yeah, so the weird tolerance with the casing or these buttons, something with them, where you actually had to loosen the case in order for them to work. But this is going to be that nice IPS screen. Let me turn it down a bit so it'll pick it up better on camera. But yeah, this is going to be it here. So I like that it's all backlit. And it makes it looks more like an AGS 101, even though it's actually a little bit better of a screen than a 101. But yeah, I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. Yeah, with all the black accents. I probably could have let the glow in the dark things in there. That probably would look kind of cool, but I decided against it. I just went with the original membranes that came with the SP originally. But yeah, guys, so that is actually going to be the build there, along with the Pokemon Emerald. So I do like how this came out, how it does look a lot like a clear Pokemon Emerald Game Boy with the IPS screen mod. And that the backlight does work, so I can get all them levels of brightness on it. So I can actually going to be adding this along with the rest of the Game Boy family that I have modded. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys watching the video. Please like the video if you liked the video. If you want to leave any comments in the comment section for any future videos, please do. And if you guys want to leave a subscribe on the way out, that'd be awesome. Alright, thanks for watching my video, guys. Peace!